Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting-edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And tonight is no exception. We are really going to explore some of the quantum possibilities with a remarkable being, a beautiful being. And I just want to thank you for being here with us. Thank you for migrating back over to our channel with us. We're so happy to be back home. And I'm just going to turn it right over to Augie, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha. A really big desire cutting edge communicate conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities.
Oh, hey, this is going to be so good. We have a very well-known guest. She is known across the globe, and this is Summer Bacon. You will find her at summerbacon.com as her website, and go and check it out. You're going to find some really interesting things there. Just a little bit about her. For 26 years, Summer has been a spiritual teacher and a trance medium. She's an author of several books, has done ghost hunting, remote viewing, and had a physical visitation from extraterrestrials. Oh boy, do we want to hear about that. I'm going to be all ears. And her mission, actually, she found out what her mission is. And that mission is to demystify mysticism so people can empower their own relationship with spirit, the all, the universal consciousness, God, or whatever you may call it. So today she will spend an hour demystifying what we may be wondering about. So welcome to the show, Summer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. My gosh, I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. You two are awesome. And I feel very honored. So thank you very much. That's very kind. All your kind words. Thank you.
They're all true. They're all true.
Thank you.
Yeah. Augie, where would you like to begin? Or Summer, where would you like to begin? I know where I want to begin, but I think that my question is like a little bit down the line, so I'm going to hold.
Okay.
But Augie,
Well, I did mention that you had a visitation from extraterrestrial beings, several of them. So
several.
I know there are people, I see them right in the chat room here. They are, they're waiting too. Can we do that first?
Do what first? Talk about extraterrestrials?
Yeah.
I could do a whole show on that one. Absolutely, yeah. And I know you had Tom Dongo, ufologist and author. Yes. Tom Dongo, who's a very good friend of mine. He's one of my closest personal friends, and so the way that I met him, I could go back. The first experience I had with UFOs was 1977. I was 17 years old, and I was in my room at night, and there were these three ships that came in. They weren't very big, but they were like three of them in a triangular shape. I did not do drugs. I want you to make this very clear. I didn't do drugs or anything like that. I was 17. I was like a goody two-shoes. So this was not coming from any psychedelic thing. And they came into my room and they just kind of tilted and looked at me, and they were very holographic. So that was my very first experience. Then down the road, other things transpired. And one of the things that was most little scary for me at the time, and it also made me angry, was I had a visitation from Greys. And that happened as a result of doing some remote viewing for these people who were going out on the land treasure hunting. And I was a very young, new channel at that time. I was 36 years old, I think, when that happened. And I was 40, I guess. I might have been 40. And they were out on the land, and I'd be on a cell phone, my very first cell phone. And I would tell them, watch out for the rabbit, because I could see it in real time as they were driving out on the land. And they would say, oh, yeah, we see the rabbit. Well, all of a sudden, I started having all of these experiences with extraterrestrials. I started hearing the hum of a mothership at night. I did not know what that was until I met Tom. I didn't understand what was actually happening. And there was this like, woo, sound at night. drove me nuts. And I thought, what's up with the air conditioners in this in this neighborhood? And I went outside at night. Nope, had nothing to do with that. And it was just this humming, constant sound. So one night, I had 2 daughters. I was a single parent, and my daughters were not home. And I was sleeping in the living room, and I woke up, and I'm on my stomach. And I thought, I got to get up, in the middle of the night. And I go to get up, and I'm like, something's on my back. And I'm like, what the heck? Or maybe I'm just really groggy. I didn't know it, as I'm pushing myself up to get out of bed. And I look over my shoulder, and there is this gray on my back. It is physical as I am, right here to me. And it had this super stark white skin that felt just cold and clammy, and almost like if you've ever felt a wetsuit, that kind of, you could just feel it, almost it just moved around when I touched it. And I looked at this guy, and I was like, I was angry. What are you doing? And I, said some choice words, and I pushed him off. And the weird thing was, I was sleeping next to the sliding glass door. And when I pushed him off, I'd say it's a him. I don't know. I can't tell male, female with these guys, but it felt like a him. And he rolled. They
all look the same.
Yeah, exactly to us, right? So we might all look the same to them.
And that's not racist. They're aliens.
Exactly. It's weird. So he rolled off of me, and then he rolled through the sliding glass door. Okay, I know that sounds weird, but went through the sliding glass door and disappeared. So I got up, and I sat on the edge of the bed, and I went, that is weird, And I'm kind of collecting myself, what was that about? And I look up, and there's another one. And I had a lighthouse lamp that my daughters said I needed to buy back then. I was so broke, and they're like, Mommy, you need to get this for yourself. I was like, it's $5. and he was standing there holding my lighthouse lamp, which was lit because I kept it on at night because I was terrified of the dark. And he's holding it, and he's looking at it this is interesting. I wonder what this is, And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I was like, I started screaming, you have no permission to be here. Get out. And I said more choice words. and he just kind of went and just disappeared. And I thought, what was that about? Wow. What? So I was like, okay, this is getting really strange. It turned out the people I was doing remote viewing for were, I said, what is this with these, ET UFO activity around me? They said, oh, yeah, well, they kind of follow us everywhere. I was like, what? So I thought, what am I getting involved in,
Wow.
And so there was another night that I wasn't sleeping in the living room, but I was sleeping in the bedroom. And I do have out-of-body experiences. I've had them since I was a teenager. And one night I'm laying there in bed, and I woke up, and I looked out the way the door was. I could see my lighthouse lamp from where I was in bed, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, I just love that lighthouse lamp. It makes me feel so happy and safe and all this. And then all of a sudden, there's these lights coming down from the opposite end of the hallway. And I see these lights. And what the heck? My kids weren't home that night either. And I see these spinning kind of lights, and then similar to what I saw when I was 17 years old, these ships just very low to the floor, maybe 3 feet off the ground, go sweeping through the hallway. I was so scared. I just was like, I'm out of here. So I went out of body. I just rolled right out of my body. And I was like, I can't handle this, and that's, again, I talked to the people that I was remote viewing for, and I asked them, what is going on here? And they said, oh, those were probably the Arcturians doing a sweep after the Greys visited you. So this goes on to how I met Tom. So my daughter was at the high school, and she was in a play, and I had to take her for her dress rehearsal. And there's an area that's called the Y. Locals call it the Y, where 89A and 179 meet. And it used to be, now it's a roundabout, but it used to be a stoplight there and not as crowded as it is now. And we go to the Y as I'm taking her to the high school. And she's, I don't know how old she was, 16 years old, maybe, or something like that. And this guy, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock, it's a little dusk here, is crossing in the street in front of us. And the way he's walking is like, he's got this kind of motion, and he's kind of like undulating as he's walking. And then he looks over and he goes, like this Cheshire grin, and these dark eyes looks right at me. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I think that's an ET. And I didn't want to say anything to my daughter. And she's watching, and she watches the guy go across the street. She's watching him go down the sidewalk. And she goes, Mom, I think that guy's an ET. And I said, what? She said, he looks like he has a bodysuit on. And she said, he doesn't look human. I said, yeah, I agree. So I take her to the high school to her dress rehearsal. Later on, I come back. I'm scared to go past the Y, which I believe is where Tom had his first encounter. So I go back. I go to the show now, the performance, and I'm going to meet a friend there, and we were going to sit together, and a mutual friend of Tom's and mine named Blair, and I say, hey Blair, and he goes, oh, you know what? You need to sit next to Tom. I said, Tom? And he goes, yeah, Tom Dongo. Now, Tom and I had this thing where we were kind of dancing around each other, not sure if we liked each other. He was skeptical of channels. I was skeptical of UFOs and ETs, even though I had the experiences and, and stuff. But so I sit down next to Tom and I go, hi. He goes, hi. And he goes, so how are you? I said, not great. I said, and I told him the thing that happened at the Y with the ET. He goes, oh, and he goes, well, that's why I brought this. And Tom, he's so chill about everything. He's like, oh, okay, that's why I brought this. And he pulls this photo album out from under his chair in the auditorium, and he opens it up and starts showing me all of these photos, amazing photos of extraterrestrials and stuff.
Wow.
So later on, I called him and I told him what had happened with the grays on my back. And he goes, huh, that's interesting. I thought they weren't around anymore. He said, but that sure sounds familiar to me. He says, that's the same kind of story as other people that I've debriefed about those experiences. And he just kind of put my mind at ease about it all. And he said, keep a camera by the bedside. Now, this is a time when you didn't have the phone cameras. I had a camera, Yeah. And so I kept one by the bed, and next time I was awakened, I didn't see them as clearly as I did that one night, but there was somebody there, and I started snapping photos all over the place. And I remembered that one of the photos had this weird jello look, like it's almost like there was a jello part of my wall. Wow. And I thought, oh, it's just a bad photo. Yeah. So I threw it away, unfortunately.
Oh.
I know. And I thought, and I didn't even show it to Tom. But so that's just the tip of the iceberg of the things that I've experienced. But that was with the grays, and they just made me mad. I was just like, hey,
how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you,
yeah.
lay on my back when I'm sleeping.
We have a question.
My cat can do that.
Yeah, not the gray though. We have a question from Shady D. She said, does it seem like the same ones kept coming back?
No, I don't know that they did.
Wow.
No, because see the grays, that was just one incident in itself. Then the one that was at the crosswalk, I think that was like a reptilian, because of the way that it was walking, kind of that sort of gait. Yeah. So I don't think so. But honestly, I really don't know enough other than my experiences, to really deduce what really happened, or why me, for one thing. I mean, I've had so many experiences. I mean, even before all of those happened, I was not channeling yet. I went to pick up my daughter when I was married, and my husband was there, and went to pick up my daughters from the babysitter, a friend. And it was 10 and 11 o'clock at night here in Sedona. And so my husband and friend got all talking and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just want to go home, go to sleep. So I turned around and I looked over the area that's right out here where the elementary school used to be. And there's this fully lit, beautiful ship. It was massive. And whenever I see them, they're always tilted for some reason, almost like they're looking at you. Huh. And this thing is like tilted, and I'm looking at it like, this is absolutely mesmerizing. And I turned around to tell my husband and friend, you got to see this. And I said that, and they go, what? And as soon as I turned back, the thing was gone. And I said, oh, never mind. You know, but I mean, it's just, and that presence never bothered me. I mean, that just felt very benevolent to me. Yes. The grays, not so much. I didn't feel like the grays were going to hurt me. No, none of them have ever hurt me.
Right.
It's just weird, you know. It's a difference. Yeah. It's like, you know, first time you see an octopus in the ocean or something, when you're snorkeling, it's like, whoa.
Yes.
So most of your experience has been around your home or your community locally, but there's a question from Donna Ferrer here, and she says, Summer, have you ever experienced missing time where you may have been taken somewhere?
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. Oh, yes. Thank you for asking that question. That's a really good one. I was out in an area south of Sedona called Cornville, and at a place called Casey's Corner, which is no longer there, unfortunately, but it was a little grocery store and a little local place with my friend Jerry. And we were working on a book about pirates together. And we're at Casey's Corner. We had some lunch there. There's a restaurant, and we're sitting in, I think, my car, because we met there, and we were just talking, and I get this phone call from my daughter. Hey, Mom, when are you coming home? And I said, I'll be there in about 20 minutes, honey. I said, I just finished lunch, and I'll be home in about 20 minutes. She said, okay, because we're hungry. I said, okay. And next thing I know, the phone rang again. And Mom, when are you coming home? I said I'd be home in 20 minutes. Mom, it's late. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I look at Jerry and I go, okay. So he gets out of the car, and I think, gosh, they just want their mommy. So I get home and I walk in the house. They're like, where have you been? I said, honey, it took me 20 minutes to get home. I said, I don't know what's wrong. I told you I'd be here. And they said, no, Mom, it's whatever it was, like 4 o'clock, I think. And I was supposed to be leaving at lunch at like 1.
Wow.
And they look at me, and I thought, these are my kids. They used to hide and jump out at me when I'd get home from places, So I thought they were just messing with me. And I get a phone call, good old landline, right? Phone rings, pick it up. It's Jerry, and he goes, Sam. I said, yeah, Jer. He goes, notice anything weird? I said, yeah, like 3 hours missing. Wow. And he goes, yeah. And I mean, we have no memory. We didn't have a drink. Again, I want to make it clear that there was nothing other than us just sitting there saying, okay, have a great day. Got to go see the kids. And then 3 hours goes missing. Wow. We have no memory of what happened, but yes, something happened. and I understand Casey's Corner used to be, and might still be, sort of a hot spot anyway. But I didn't know that at the time.
I got a follow-up question to that one. Have you ever done hypnotic regression, try to find out what did happen?
No, I haven't, because I don't know. I guess I just haven't really had the curiosity. I've had such tangible experiences that it's okay. And I've had so many strange experiences in my life anyway. I mean, I've had my fair share and then some of, seeing ghosts, hearing spirits, out of body, so many different things that to me, that's just a natural life. I've been that way since I was a little kid. So for me to see these things was like, okay, no, I did not have hypnotic regression for any of it.
But then I got a follow-up comment after my question. And that is that you need to talk to Nori because she specializes in hypnotic regression. She's a hypnotherapist.
Oh, wow.
And I think you guys need to talk, because what if you were taken somewhere to a ship that would be a phenomenally interesting experience for you to re-see or relive what happened on that ship?
Well, okay. Yeah, when you say that, I could say that when I had these experiences, I felt not afraid, but violated, especially with the grays. So that's probably why I would rather not have those experiences and go investigate. But, I've made my peace with them. I mean, it's like now I understand through channeling and stuff. I've learned how to understand the other perspectives and forgive and realize that, they didn't mean any harm. They were just being who they are. Right. And so I'm okay with that. As far as the missing time thing, that might be interesting to see what happened there. If I don't know what, I mean, it was just I have no idea. And same with Jerry, and Jerry's not like in the category of wanting to believe any of this kind of stuff. He's way opposite of me. So
that must have been such a weird feeling, just like, wait, what?
Yeah. It was pretty bizarre. It really was. It really was. I mean,
so, and here's the thing about hypnotic regression. Oftentimes, when people go back, it doesn't really serve them, and unless somebody has a really clear, concrete reason, and can tell me how the answer will benefit their life now, I don't really recommend it, because a lot of people can't deal with what really, really happened, and it's better sometimes to not know. And if they do want to go back in order to benefit something in their life now, I would focus on that under the energy of healing, Yeah,
that's beautiful. That's really well put. Yeah, because I did have a regression years ago, and it was for a specific reason, and I went in wanting to resolve something, and it really did help me when I went in with the intent of, I need to know, but I didn't want to obsess about the past. It's like I'm here now. I'd rather not look back too much, but sometimes it can be extremely helpful to heal from looking back and experiencing it and knowing why. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about being a channel, because I'm so curious. Is it okay to change subjects here? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah.
So how did that even begin for you? And the 99.9-year-old doctor that you channel, right? Amazing.
Yeah. Well, in about 1987 or 88, my mom, who was just an incredible woman, she said, "Summy, we need to go listen to this guy on the radio." And there was do you remember? I don't know if you remember Dr. David Viscott, but he was a psychologist, I think, and he had Thomas Jacobson, who was a trance medium for Dr. Peebles, who's the spirit that I channel as Dr. Peebles, Dr. James Martin Peebles, who died in 1922 at the age of 99.9 years old.
Wow.
And Thomas channeled him. And I was just coming out of this time period where I had been a born again Christian, and that's a whole other story as to what happened there and why, and how things changed for me as a result of that. But so I was terrified of the thought of this person being possessed by this spirit, right? So I sat down and I listened to him go into trance, and it was amazing, and the love and the warmth. And all of my fear just sort of dissolved in that moment. So I was fascinated, and I had a session with Thomas, and talked to Dr. Peebles. And then Thomas quit, and I decided, well, I want to keep my relationship with Dr. Peebles. It wasn't about becoming a trance medium. I just didn't want to lose the relationship. And as far as I'm concerned, anything that anybody does in terms of developing a relationship with God, spirit, extraterrestrials, whatever, it's a relationship. You develop it through your own desire to have that relationship. You pick up the phone, you make the phone call, you meet for lunch, you do the thing to deepen that relationship. And that's what I wanted with Dr. Peebles. I just wanted to know he was there. And I also wanted to know that I was safe. I was so afraid of everything. Everything. I was afraid of everything, afraid of people. I was just afraid. So I decided one night, I said, if God's love is real, and that's the constant, and I can trust in that, then I am going to say, okay, bring it.
Yes.
Whatever it is, God, that you want for my life, then bring it. And I stopped, because I saw spirits, I heard voices, tried to get rid of them. That was part of going into becoming born-again Christian, to see if I could get rid of all these demons.
Yeah.
And if they didn't go away, the voices got louder,
Yeah.
And so I would lay down on my bed every night and just say, okay, I turned the lights off. I was terrified of the dark. And every single night for a year, I did this. I saw spirits. I saw angels. There was a little girl who showed up next to my bed. And I found out that she had died in a car accident, and she didn't know where her mommy and daddy were, and they had died as well. But she came to me because I was a mother figure and to her, and I helped her go to the other side and find her parents. And then one night I woke up and my body is sitting up in bed. And I'm awake, wide awake, but I'm not in my body. And the first thought I had was, am I in my body?
Wow.
And when I thought that, the weird thing was I went to the bathroom and saw myself in the mirror, but I was kind of floaty Casper-like, and but I looked like me, but I was kind of ethereal looking. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. And I thought, oh no, if I'm not in my body, then who is?
Wow.
So I zipped back to my body, and as I came in, my mouth was moving, and I could hear these words, God bless you, God bless you. And it's like I merged and passed through this being who was in my body.
Huh.
And the love and the warmth and everything was so incredibly beautiful. And I came in, and the being left. And I'm sitting wide awake in my body, which is sitting up, that I didn't do.
Right.
And my eyes are open, and I'm just like, and all of a sudden I hear these two voices outside of my head. I hear clairaudiently outside of my head a lot. And there was a male voice and female voice. And I can only say that it is more beautiful than any sound I've ever heard. And the man says, well, what do you think? And the woman says, well, it looks like destiny to me. And I'm like, destiny? What destiny? Yeah. And I thought maybe I was living at home at the time. I was divorced, and I had my baby girl with me, and we moved into my parents' house, and thought maybe, it's got to be mom and dad. But the doors were closed, so I run upstairs. My dad's snoring. My mom's asleep. And I'm like, what? So I talked to Thomas about this, Thomas Jacobson, the guy who channeled Dr. Peebles. And I said, what destiny? And he goes, God, Summer, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, oh, if I could hear spirits like that. He said, you've got a gift. And so I asked him how to develop it. And he said, set aside a time every day to connect. And that's what I did. So I'm self-taught. I did that for 6 years before I actually went into trance, deep trance for the first time, where Dr. Peebles comes in, speaks using my voice. I mean, he takes the muscles and manipulates them and everything. I just sort of pull back from that. And then he uses my body to speak. And then once that started, December 4th, 1994, pretty much anybody and everybody could come through because I let them. So I channeled hundreds or thousands of dearly departed loved ones for people I didn't even know. I never knew who was going to come through. That was fascinating. And I did it all for free. I never wanted to do this as a job, Yeah. The thing is, it's not about channeling. When people, I want to be a channel. Okay, that's great. But what really is going to happen is you're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about your fears, your expectations. Mm-hmm. You're going to find that it takes incredible vulnerability, a willingness to surrender, your need to control, and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When you allowed other entity to come through, you say so many of them, have they all been good, or are there also possibly some negative experiences that could come from things like this?
I had so many experiences, and I experienced them differently each time. The only experience, honestly, that I had that I didn't like was when an ET came in. And it was so devoid of emotion that it freaked me out. And I was like, no, I can't do this. There was a time where I channeled for a friend of mine who asked for a friend to come through who I did not know. And the guy's name was Tino. And turns out Tino, now, mind you, I was 34 years old when I started channeling. And I was I'm very naive 34-year-old, not a very worldly one. So Tino, I did not know had been on death row and died on death row for having stabbed somebody in the back. And if I had known that at 34 years old, I had so many judgments against people that I never would have channeled him. Like, he has no right to speak through me. He has no right, for anything. He killed somebody, and that's it, done. Well, Tino comes through, and he's talking to my friend Jay, and he is the most beautiful soul. He feels deep regret, deep remorse. He talks about his life. Turns out he was a dancer, apparently a well-known dancer on stage or something. I don't remember exactly. And he was a beautiful man. And he told Jay, he said, you really need to stop and smell the roses. He said, you really need to stop and enjoy these things in life. And I could feel the love and the warmth and the depth of this being. Yeah. And it just completely transformed me, because what channeling has done is it has given me an opportunity to see the world from the inside out, from people's perspective from the inside out. Like, if you've ever loved somebody so much that, you're holding them, you're embracing, and you're like, oh, if I could just merge with them, if I could really know what they're thinking, how do they see me? How do they feel? That's what I had the opportunity to do, was to see through other people's eyes and see their perspectives and fall in love with people and beings who otherwise I may have never given a chance to. Wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it really was.
So beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, it really was something. I've had some really funny times too, where I channeled this guy. So this young woman, younger than me, comes over with her husband. And her husband goes, yeah, I'm here because of my wife. I'm really skeptical, and I just want you to know from the outset, I'm not going to believe any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. So they come in, they sit down, and I have no idea who I'm going to be channeling. And this guy's friend had died. And his friend comes through. Aww. And younger than me. What happened comes over with her husband? And her husband goes, yeah, I'm here because of my wife. I'm really skeptical, and I just want you to know from the outset, I'm not. This guy's friend, and I feel my arms feeling very long and stretching out. His friend comes through, full body channeling, younger than me. And the guy's laying way back on the couch, and he's kind of spreading his legs out like a guy would, and he's doing the whole guy stance, right? And he starts talking to his buddy who's there. And it says, oh, man, right? I overdid it. And he starts talking to his buddy who's there. Much. I overdosed. And it says, oh, man, sorry, I overdid it. His friend just bursts into tears and is like, oh, my God. And they pick up their conversation where they left off. So the skeptic comes in and sees this. Well, the funny part of this for me was that I can feel this guy who I'm channeling really likes his friend's wife. and he's really hot for her, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really weird.
Triangle going on.
Yeah. And so afterwards I told his friend when I came out of trance, I said, oh God, I have to tell you this. I said, your friend is like crazy about your wife. And they both laughed, and they said, oh yeah, we know. He was always trying to get in her pants. So I had some.
Maybe he wasn't really a friend, huh?
Yeah, they loved him though. He was fun, and he was funny. He was just like he was real warm and genuine. But he was pretty much the same as he was when he left his body, you know.
Wow,
Still just really just kind of wanted to yak, hang out.
On your website, there's a lot of teachings there that come from Dr. Peebles. What did he say anything about the future that you can think of maybe would be important to people?
Well, I can tell you what he's saying right now. You know, ever since the whole COVID thing and stuff, I've been doing weekly channeling sessions that have been really helpful, not only to my clients, but even to me. For 26 years, I didn't listen to any of the sessions. I would read some transcript and you put it in my newsletter or something. But these ones I've been listening to. And, you know, from the very outset, he was saying that this is a very difficult time period, obviously, for the planet, but that we are being raised up into the fifth dimension of understanding of love, and that we are being pushed very hard to, you know, to really start living life from the inside out, where we have media and other things that a lot of times, you know, we don't know whether we're coming or going, who to believe, whatever it might be. No matter what side of the fence you're on, doesn't matter. I mean, everybody's feeling this, like, I don't know, it's right. So much information all the time. And Dr. Peebles said the reason for that is that it's really, really getting us to look inside of ourselves. If you feel something is true for you, then it's true for you. And move with that movement inside of yourself. Get in touch with your intuition. And it's helping us to really come alive and come awake. He also said that it's a fantastic time for the healing. And I'm telling you, this is from way back last year, before, you know, we've seen all the beautiful news feeds about what has happened for the earth and the cleaning up of the planet and that sort of thing. But that he says there are more good people and there is more goodness in the world than you can even imagine. He said a lot of times human beings tend to think that it's all this, you know, death, doom, and depression, because that's what we're fed on the media and things like that. But he says there are more people consciously working to create a beautiful planet and to bring people together, you know, to help the homeless and all sorts of things. And he also had talked about the very fact that, you know, a lot of this stuff is happening where people are saying, I love to work at home now. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to go back to a corporate job. Mm-hmm. And I just saw something that said something like 40% of people who've been in lockdown have taken up a new hobby. And 30% of those people are saying, I think I can make a living doing this. I'm not going back to work.
Yay.
You know, so there's so much goodness. And that's what he emphasizes.
I love it.
Yeah, he's all about love. And he's all about living life from the inside out. You know, trusting who you are. I'm a trance medium. People come up, well, what do you do for a living, Summer? Oh, geez, you know. Depending on who's asking me, it's like, you know, I channel spirit. And some people don't know what that is, and some people do. But I don't care, because I know what I do. I know who I am. I know what my experiences are, and they're tangible and real for me. So I'm not here to try to make anybody believe anything that I'm saying. You can completely say, you know, she's full of it. Yeah. But and that's fine. I mean, I can't make you believe anything. I just know what's tangible and real for me.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So just to Mr. Peebles, to Dr. Peebles' point, the people who are saying, you know, and I think I can make a living out of it. Then there's a whole bunch of us who are saying that, supporting everybody, right? Oh, you're doing this now, I'm going to support you, and you're doing that, and we're all supporting each other, yeah. And kind of growing, you know, our little big community, right? Right.
Yeah. Well, it's becoming something that I have noticed is very, you know, years ago I probably wouldn't have been on your show, because I would have been not certain, because, you know, what I do can be very controversial for people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really one to want to put stick my neck out there, and I'd rather give it to people who really want it than people who are just going to hate me for it and all that. But I've noticed there's a change, and people are coming alive. They're coming awake, just as Dr. Peebles said. And they're saying there's got to be more. You know, this is not working externally to us. There's got to be something inside. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, if you develop your own personal deep relationship with God and spirit, hallelujah. That's beautiful. And it's for you to develop. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It is your own personal deep relationship with God and spirit. Nobody knows the truth of it other than you. Yeah. Ultimately.
Yeah.
Speaking to our last comments, Shady D in the chat room says, I am so glad I lost my job.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Oh,
Because now she is happier. I know her. I know she's happier now.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
And
that's
in the
fantastic.
corporate grind.
Oh, that's so
That is
beautiful.
great.
That really is. I've heard this from so many people. I have international clients, and I've heard so many people say the very same thing. Even saying, "I'm shaking in my boots. I'm scared to death. I don't know what's next, but I'm not going back." And and it's so beautiful. It really, really is. It's so beautiful. Wow. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that.
So, Summer, what's the difference between channeling and your guides? Because I know your guides have played a very special role in your life, right? You had an experience when they intervened. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of times where they've intervened in my life, and so guides. Okay, so this is what I believe and know to be true for me. I am a spirit in a body, and the body is temporary. It's like wearing a coat, and someday I'm just going to drop this coat and I will leave my body, and I will be vibrating at a frequency that will be different than what I'm vibrating at here, and I will be able to see and feel tangibly the spirits that are around me at that time, being my guides. Let's assume that, as far as leaving my body, going to see, maybe meeting Dr. Peebles and that sort of thing. So my spirit guides are around me. They're here. The room is filled all around. The space that you think is empty is not empty. If you have the ability to just stare at the space around you, you can eventually just start seeing even some vibration in the room. There's movement. If you really study it and you really attempt to look into the ethers, you can start to see that. So my guides are with me and around me. I don't know if they're around all the time or not. I know I sometimes drive them crazy, but I talk to them constantly. And as far as being a channel, I mean, the difference in that is that, so if this is my coat that I wear and I give it to you to wear, that's it. It's just a vessel. Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah, and so when I channeled Dr. Peebles, he was a very large man, and when he comes in, his spirit is very large. So when he comes in, my body gets big. People say my throat gets even wider, because the vibration is pressing in my body, because his vibration is much higher. And he says only maybe a handprint of who he really is comes through, because if he came through completely, my body would explode. The vibration is so high. This is a low voltage wire here.
Right.
And his vibration is high voltage.
Right.
If you think of it like that. And so, after 26 years of doing this work constantly, wow. I'm a little bit ripped up by it. It's taken a little bit of a toll on me, just like, being a clerk in a grocery store, standing on your feet all day takes a toll, whatever it is anybody's doing. But that's what happens with me. So, wow. Yeah, but it's amazing.
It's beautiful.
There is a question that we run into ever so often, and that is something that, the rumor on the street anyway, is that eventually we will drop the body and we will go into another room and we will live another existence after we drop the body. And that's kind of uncharted territory that actually nobody can do for us. Dying is one of the things we got to do all by ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. Yeah. But what does people say, what happens after we drop the body? What can we experience on the other side?
Well, it's quite different for each person. But let's say that, you're very clear about, if you don't have a fear of death and you're not going to get stuck somewhere because you don't believe in an afterlife, which, you can put yourself there. You can do it here right now. I mean, you can not believe in goodness and be in a cage in this body of thought. And so you can do the same thing when you leave the body. But if you believe, okay, I believe in an afterlife and I'm going to go see my mom or dad or whatever, that's where your heart is. Your heart sends you there and you go there. A lot of times what he does say, though, is that there is apparently it's like we get a little bit debriefed when we go over there. We have an opportunity. It's not a life review like, oh, look what you did wrong and how bad you were and blah, blah, blah. It's really more about, let's take a look at what you did. It's because this is a school called Planet Earth, and we're in classes here, and the classes are all about love, whether it's an exchange of money, whether it's hello, whether it's flipping somebody off, or whatever it might be. We're learning about love, how to give and to receive love in everything that we do. So when we go home, it's really going home from school. Maybe we graduated, or maybe we say, you know what? I was studying philosophy, but I think I'd like to study, computer science in my next life. Mm-hmm. And you come back and you do something else. You make other choices, take different classes. So you go home, hey, mom, dad, that was really interesting in school. And you talk about it and you look at it and you share your photos and your videos and stuff of what you've done, and you review it. Mm. And then spirit comes and they counsel you and they say, hey, son, you might want to go back again. No, I don't want to go back again. And they say, when you go over to the other side and you say, no, I don't want to go back, that's when they say, well, you need to go back now. Yeah. If you go over there and you say, that was great, I got it, I loved it, then they say, okay, you're done. Wow. But it's different for everybody. I mean, I have channeled so many spirits that I have helped, cross over to the other side. I used to do ghost busting and channeled these spirits who were stuck. It was very interesting. These two people came to me. The husband was a skeptic. The woman was not. And she said, no, there are spirits in our house, and they were fighting and they were arguing about it. And as they were fighting and arguing, his desk was lit on fire.
Wow.
In the other room. Not by anything other than they don't spirit. And he said, okay, I got it. Let's call farmer. His office desk in his office in his house. Wow. It was on fire. And he said, okay, I believe you. So they had me come in, and I walked around the house. I told them, don't tell me anything about the spirits who are here. And I saw a Hispanic woman. I saw a little boy. I saw a man. And I forget who else it was many years ago. And I sat down and I channeled these spirits, the poltergeists who were in the house. I actually channeled them. And what we were told by them was that by Dr. Peebles, he came through first, and he said one of them had died and saw that everybody was going into the light on the other side. And they were going into this doorway of light, but nobody was coming out. So they assumed that was a bad thing. Because everybody's going in but not coming out, so they built like a gate and with a barred it and said keep out. And so anybody who was going to go through this portal to go to the other side, they saw this thing that said keep out, and he said, no, you don't want to go in there.
Wow.
So what Dr. Peebles said through me was, we're going to brew some coffee over here, and you tell them there's something nice and warm, because it's usually very cold when spirits are trapped. And there's something, nice and warm for them to drink, to come on over, and everything will be fine. Well, in the house that I was channeling in, these two people did not drink coffee, didn't even own a coffee maker. And my children were there at the time. They were very young. And the people and my then boyfriend, husband, and the house filled with the aroma of coffee, they said.
Wow.
And then one by one, these spirits came into me and then said thank you, and then they left, went and departed. So
that's so beautiful.
So there's so many scenarios that go on, but it's not it doesn't have to be so confusing if you think of it in terms of human relationships and how diverse we are. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways in which we can have a relationship. There's so many beliefs that we can have about our lives. And like I say, we can say, I'll never amount to anything, and I'm just going to live in this box forever. And but it's a choice. It's through our choices and our perceptions of ourselves and life itself that we create our reality.
Yes. Wow. So Summer, you talk about your clients. What are you doing now? Are you still channeling Dr. Peebles? Or?
Yeah, I channel him once a week. I was doing private sessions. I was doing 4 private sessions a week and 3 trance coachings, I guess, a week. And and this is something I've just I went into this kicking and screaming to do this as a business and stuff. It's just who I am. It's what I do. I can't escape myself. Mm-hmm. I've been very tired for a long time. I haven't wanted to continue doing this for a long time, just because physically I've been exhausted. And last year, I was walking around the golf course here in the morning, and I said, am I ever going to be able to, stop channeling private sessions? And I heard immediately, now is the time. I went, oh, wait, no. This is my bread and butter. I mean, I'm not I have to work to the day I die. Okay. This is not, if anybody's thinking that becoming a trance medium is a get rich quick scheme, it is not. It is not. So, so I started arguing with spirits. No, this is my bread and butter. And I was frantic, and I thought, what would I do? How would I make a living? I mean, and I argued with them, and it was kind of funny because they said, okay, well, if you want to continue doing it, that's okay. and for the next week, I did these sessions, and I was in private sessions, and it's like I was allowed to hear everything that was going on in these private sessions. And I heard some of the questions that were asked, and I was like, oh, I see. Okay. So they were saying, yeah, we need to have you, we need to reach more people, not just one person at a time.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, but how's it going to go? Is that going to fly? I don't know. And honestly, I'll tell you quite frankly, I was going in to take a bath. And I'm going in to take the bath, and I'm telling you, Jesus Christ comes out from the side and looks me right in the eye and says, it's time, Summer. Wow. Now is the time. And now I want to explain that, because I have a relationship with Jesus, not in the religious sense. So I don't want that to interfere. He was a man who was extraordinary, and Dr. Peebles calls him the greatest man, medium, and martyr ever to walk the earth. He was a great medium, and so he looks at me, and I go, oh man, how do I argue with this? So I still was kicking and screaming when I went into it, but I did it. I jumped off the cliff and did it, and people are so happy, and it's reaching people around the world. So I do one session a week. That's it. Wow. And that MP3 goes to people all over the world. And I'll tell you, it has been so healing during this time. And it's been, bringing people back to center. Yeah. Even myself, like I said, I'm listening to those sessions because it's like, oh, I can, I feel like, okay, there's hope. It's all going to be okay.
Summer, so you had the argument, at the golf course, and then when you heard the sessions after that, did that give you insight into how important the communication that you were hosting? Like, did you find out how important it was? Is that what that was about?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say so. I want to share something because I was very, very tired and very frustrated, and just not seeing a lot of, I'm human. I'm not perfect because of what I do in that respect, in terms of being like happy all the time, and I've got this connection to spirit, and they just make my life perfect. It's like, no, a lot of times my tests are a little harder than a lot of people, but it's to keep me on the up and up all the time. Yeah. And one night I was going to bed, and I said, guys, I'm wiped. I'd be happy to just go home tonight. Just please let me go home. I don't even know why I'm still here during this time. Why did I choose to be here during this time and all that? And I know a lot of people who feel that way, a lot of empaths who are being hammered right now. And what happened was I went out of body, did not expect this at all. And I was at this round table, and all these spirits were around. Now, when I go out of body and I see them, I know who they are. When I wake up, I don't remember who they are. It's like I can't place them in this life, but I know it's like I'm with family, friends, and they're all there at this round table, which I go to these round table discussions periodically on the other side. And a friend of mine, who was a Vietnam veteran, incredible guy, he and his wife were there. And it kind of surprised me. And I looked at him and I said, hey, what is this? He said, don't you know? I said, not really sure. He said, well, they want you to know that you're part of this. And he points to this banner, and it says, Universal Alliance for Global Peace.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And then we all sat down at this roundtable discussion, and I don't remember it. And I come back into my body, and I was like, whoa. So I wrote to my friend, not sure how he was going to respond to this, talking about being out of body, going there, roundtable discussion. This is he's a great, amazing guy. But I just didn't know. And he emails me back within minutes and says, I know exactly what you're talking about. It makes total sense. I've shown your email to my wife. He said, yes, we need to talk. And we never did. But I do believe that there are spirits. We're not alone. And they're helping us through this time period. This is not just some random thing that's happening right now. And we're part of something that is going to be really extraordinary. I do see that the end result is going to be incredible goodness. The planet's healing. People are healing. We're getting closer. We're looking at each other, putting the phone down because we got these masks on and have to socially distance. And we're actually looking each other in the eye. And we're having to use our intuition in order to know where somebody is in proximity to us. So this is what I'm understanding in terms of the relationship with spirit and God. And it's not, this again, it's not just a random time on earth. So in many ways, we're blessed to be a part of it.
Yes.
I have a question in the chat room here from Karen O'Donnell. She's, have you ever met someone in spirit who is done with human life, plan to come back?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that the sound went out for a second.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. I can hear you now, but...
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Karen asked... have you ever met someone in spirit form that is done with human life and not planning to come back?
Well, yeah, I'm Dr. Peebles for one, but definitely there are, I mean, how many? I mean, yeah, Archangel Michael has been around. Which is really interesting. I didn't even know who he was when I met him. I didn't even know what an archangel was. I was so young and so naive. I thought an archangel, I thought that was like a fallen angel or something, but he presented himself to me. But there's also this guy named, Dr. Peebles talks about Mac, the truck driver, who drove around and ate hamburgers and ministered to people. Now, that is really interesting because a lot of people think, oh, you have to be vegan or you have to be, do things in a certain way. You shouldn't drink, shouldn't smoke or whatever in order to be spiritual. Well, this guy got down in the trenches and just was a real guy and ministered to people as a truck driver eating hamburgers. Yeah. And he entered into his enlightenment. We always think, a lot of times we think it's only Archangel Michael or Gabriel or whomever, or Dr. Peebles, exalted, and Dr. Peebles says, no, it's not that. There's no hierarchy. We're all in this together. We need each other is what he says over and over and over again. We need each other, all of us. Aww. And it's not exclusive by any stretch of the imagination. There are many people. I know my mom's enlightened. My mom died in 2012. I don't doubt she's enlightened.
Yes.
But nobody's ever going to remember Lisa Bacon. Like they talk about Archangel Michael.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Aw. I'm so sad that our time is almost up, Summer. This has been such a remarkable conversation and so uplifting and so healing.
Thank you.
It just feels so hopeful, during this time. So
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
For that.
Yeah. We're not alone.
Let people also know where they can get a hold of you and maybe email or website or however you want to communicate.
Yeah, you can go to my website, summerbacon.com, and I have lots of free teachings there, lots and lots that you can download. You don't even have to buy anything. I love giving things away. My autobiography is there as a free download. You can also buy it on Amazon, and that's great too. But I just feel like I want to get the information out there. I have a hard time holding information hostage for money.
Yeah, mention the title of some of your books also.
My book is Can I show it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Cellars and Ceilings of Summer, and that's my daughter drew that painting when she was like 16 years old. But that's my autobiography. It has all of my extraterrestrial stuff in it, and other really fun, story type things. It's all about my whole journey into channeling, and a really cool thing about pirates in there. I had some serious encounters with pirate spirits.
Really?
Say that title again.
The Cellars and Ceilings of Summer.
Okay.
That title was given to me by Dr. Peebles through Thomas Jacobson back in 1989.
Wow.
And it was a working title for all those years. It took me about 30 years to write that book.
So special.
Okay. Hey, I got one of my favorite questions for you.
Sure.
If you could speak to the whole world and the world were listening, what would you tell them?
Don't give up.
Really good.
That's short and sweet.
Yeah, that's really it.
Thank you, Summer.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you both so much. I really have enjoyed being with you guys today.
Yeah.
Me too.
Could we ask you to come back sometime?
Yes.
Absolutely. I would love to. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I hope we get to stay in touch anyway. So
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
I think I beat you to saying that, Nori.
I know.
Then I can tell you all about the pirates.
I want to hear about the pirates.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a heck of a story.
All right. Augie, you want to take us out?
people don't know that you were a pirate once. I was with the pirates. I was killed by them, and I was the girlfriend of the captain of the ship, Captain Gordon.
Wow.
Yeah. Very interesting.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. It's been so wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, you guys. You have a beautiful night.
And thank you to everybody in the chat room. Thanks for joining us and your lively chat. That's so great.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
It's been a very active chat room. I've been trying to answer a few of them, but it's been kind of busy here. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to everybody there, but we love you and we want you to come back because we're going to have some other interesting stuff next week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you then.